take it off and throw it away. Happy Tuesday, guys. I met just the most interesting person last week, and she was telling me about her father. He is actually in the Country Music Hall of Fame now. His name is Jim Ed Brown. He has since passed, but he was in a group with his sisters called the Browns, and they had a hit single back in like 1959. And she was telling me about how awesome her dad was and his attitude and how positive it was, despite how poor he was when he was being raised. And she said that she could only remember 5 times in her dad's, lifespan that he got mad, and only one of those times was at her. And I thought to myself, wow, that was not my experience with my dad. Can I get an amen? My dad had a little bit of a temper. But anyway, I digress. So she said that only one of those 5 times was he mad at her. And I was like, oh, that piqued my interest. Like, what did she do? And she said back in the 80s, when buttons were in, the people put buttons all over their jackets, their jean jackets, flare, if you will, that she had buttons all over, and he never said anything about any of her buttons. She had buttons with cuss words. That never seemed to bother her dad. But one day, he read one of her buttons on her jacket, and he got so mad, and he said, take it off and throw it away. And the button said this: when all else fails, lower your expectations. And her dad looked her square in the eyes and said, never, ever lower your expectations, very sternly. And so I'm saying to you today, never, never, ever lower your expectations. We've had a challenging year. Thank goodness we're wrapping it up. We're at the end of it. But don't you dare lower your standards because things aren't going your way. And if I can, just real quick, remind you about David, a little guy named David, who took out a ginormous giant that all of the best soldiers were afraid of. And here comes this little teenage boy with his slingshot and a couple of stones, and he kills the giant. How did he do that? One touch of God's favor. It only takes just one touch of God's favor, no matter your circumstance, to turn the tide. So it's okay to have huge expectations. I'm a big believer in that. I always set my expectations big. So I challenge you, never, ever, ever lower your expectations. And in 2021, as we enter a new year, I challenge you to have huge expectations. God will deliver and he won't disappoint. Happy Tuesday. I hope that encourages someone, and I will see you next week.